I'm Ed Frawley. I own Leerburg. We're at Leerburg today with Josh Moran. Josh is one of our new instructors that has been here at Leerburg all week long, filming an online course on the mechanics of how to approach training small dogs. And Josh is he's a professional dog trainer from Buffalo, New York. So the purpose of this little conversation is just to introduce Josh to our Leerburg customers and kind of give them a feel of why we asked him to come and help us do this course and what his experience is. And with that said, Josh, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do for a living and kind of what your experience is in dogs right now?
So what I do for a living is mainly with pet dogs. I am normally working with dogs who have behavior issues ranging from aggression towards humans or other dogs, all the way down to just very nervous and fearful dogs, or to dogs that just need some work and obedience and cleaning up some manners.
So how did you get involved in small dogs?
I actually got involved with small dogs by visiting a friend of mine in Virginia who has a couple Jack Russells that he hunts to fox and groundhog and raccoons. So the dogs go underground and you have to dig down, snare the animal and pull it out. And it was a very mind-altering experience for me, a very big eye-opener to see that dogs this size don't have to just be, carried around in a purse all the time. You can have dogs these size that are going to be incredibly enthusiastic and driven working dogs. So once I went down and met up with Patrick and hunted his dogs a couple times, I got a hold of a patterdale breeder in Tennessee. And
is that what this is? Why don't you introduce your dog?
This is Seif. She's a patterdale terrier from kennel in Tennessee, and she's 2 years old, maxed out at about 13 pounds. So she can still fit underground and go to work.
Did you hunt with her yet?
I've gotten her out a couple times, and this spring and summer she's really going to be getting out there and hitting the holes.
Hitting the holes. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how that all works? Because I was kind of fascinated the first time I heard this.
Sure. So most groundhog sets, as they're called, is just the den underground. They're the prime diggers in this part of the world for creating these underground den systems. So a set can have anywhere between 1 to 8 different exits. It looks almost like a little ant farm underground. So in many cases, a dog will go underground through one of these burrows and the animal will escape through one of the other exits. But the dog's job is not to actually go underground and physically engage the quarry, but to go underground and to chase the quarry to a stop pipe. So a den of which there is no escape. When the dog bays or just barks at it and holds it down. Dog wears a small locator collar, of which at the surface there's a radio transmitter, so you can scan and see where exactly the dog is. And then
like those guys looking for coins?
Exactly, yeah, very similar.
That's kind of cool.
So then you dig down, and if you're lucky and the thing hasn't escaped, then you snare the animal and you can release it or dispatch it at your leisure.
So how deep do you dig?
It really depends on the set and where you're digging. Some soils are a lot rockier, or if it's near trees and roots, you're not going to be able to get down as deep as you may like. But 6 feet is not out of the ordinary.
You dig a 6-foot hole?
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
There's a lot of jokes in the working terrier world about...
you could always go to work for a cemetery.
Exactly. About the amount of digging you're doing of 6 feet holes out in the middle of the woods by yourself with your dog.
Wow, I'd hate to have them find something like that at about 4:30 in the afternoon.
Exactly.
Can you call them back out of the hole, or will they come?
It depends on your level of training, but I've worked on Seif's recall quite a bit, so I'm pretty confident I'll be able to get her out. But as anybody who's ever had a working dog knows, once drive kicks in, it's a different game entirely.
Yeah, I should have introduced this one. This is my new dog. This is Rosie. She's a Shih Tzu. She is about 11 weeks old and full of herself. She's going through teething right now, so the most important thing to her is to chew and bite on something. and she's a person of her own skill. Where you used her quite a bit in this video?
Oh yeah, yeah. Me and Rosie got to work a lot together, and she's a lot of fun. She has a great attitude.
For a Shih Tzu, I'll tell you what, I bred German Shepherds for 35 years, and Cindy and I have had some litters of Malinois, and we have had very, very few dogs that have had as much drive as this little Shih Tzu has here. I mean, she is her own dog, and it's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. I mean, she will retrieve stuff until she can't stand anymore and can stay on task. For a puppy to stay on task. And this is Stella. This is Cindy's border terrier. Stella's about 4 years old, and we used her in the video too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she's a cool dog too.
She's great.
So now talk a little bit about what you do in Buffalo, New York.
So what I do is help people reach a point of balance with their own dogs. A lot of what I do is spend my time working with people on changing some behaviors that are either just nuisance and annoying behaviors or downright dangerous behaviors. So we do a lot of training of just basic obedience and helping rehabilitate some dogs who have some real serious behavior issues. There's a lot of socialization that we do. We get into a lot of socializing large and small dogs, socializing dogs with known aggressive histories and behavior histories. And as I said, just a lot of obedience training to give people some tools to lean on with managing their dogs and leading them to a more fulfilling lifestyle is what our ultimate goal is.
So in this course, kind of what's your approach in this course? How are you approaching teaching people this small dog?
Well, the first thing I like to do is give anybody whose dog or handler team I'm training is trying to give them some skills that are going to be really helpful for managing and educating their dogs and living a lifestyle with their dog that's more cooperative than management. So I approach this course by trying to start off with a good foundation of obedience and building on that so that ultimately anybody who takes the course can have a good repertoire of tools and exercises to be able to deal with any type of troubleshooting they may be having with their dogs, and laying a good foundation for changing some of the behavior issues that we normally find in pet dogs. So
when we first wrote the computer code, because we wrote our own computer code for this online course that we have, it's been an evolution of almost 2.5 years now. We initially set these courses to be set up in weeks, and we changed it from weeks to modules. And the reason we changed it from modules was we didn't want to put pressure on students thinking, oh, I gotta get this week's work done. Rather, we changed it to modules, and people can work at their own thing, at their own speed. So how many modules are on this small course?
There's 6 modules with this course. So we'll be able to work through those in either the interactive course, or if we're going to do a self-study, people can take that at their own speed. But yeah, we have 6 modules.
And our interactive course, the way that works is a certain number of students will be enrolled in the interactive part, and the interactive part will allow them to take smartphone video of them and their dog based on what you want them to have a video of, the training exercise you're working with at that point in time. And we've written a little computer code where with a couple of pushes of a button on their smartphone, they can upload a video. She is biting the snot out of my fingers here. I need bite gloves. Ow! So the students can upload their little smartphone video right into the form for the course. Yeah. And then once a week, you're going to have a live chat where people can come in. We give them a link to go to on the internet, and they can come in and sit, and it's like a big roundtable discussion.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for that. I got to see Forrest do one of his live chats the other day, and it seems like a really good setup. It was good for people to be able to ask some questions and follow-up questions to those questions, so it was pretty good.
I've done some of these interviews with some of other instructors, and I always go back to, I love listening to the live chats because there can be people there from South Africa, there can be people from Israel, Europe, England, Canada, South America, Australia, everywhere. It's a cool deal, and everybody sits around and listens. And the nice thing about the live chats is those students that can't be there on the night of the live chat, we record them. That's right. And then a day or two later, we put them right into the course so the students that missed it can listen to it like a podcast. Great. It's a neat deal. Well, I think this is going to be a cool course. Obviously, I'm maybe a little prejudiced after having, been a police canine handler for 10 years, raised German Shepherds my whole life, and although I stopped breeding like 6 years ago, we rescued a Shih Tzu that was 9 years old. Oh, I don't know how many years ago it was. It's like 4 years ago, 4 years ago. And unfortunately, sometimes you get these little dogs, or any dog, and they become a special dog to you. And sure. Daisy, this Shih Tzu, passed away from a heart tumor this last year very quickly. And she was the only dog that ever slept in my bed. And that's how Rosie came into our family. I didn't want another puppy, but holy jeez. Yeah. When I got Rosie, I decided we need to have a course in small dogs. It's not like training German Shepherds, although it is. I mean, a small dog is just a small version of the big dog. And biting is, with this one, I'll tell you, it's something else. So this is cool. So what else have you done in the past? You've told me a little bit about yourself. I think it's kind of interesting.
Sure. Before I was a professional dog trainer, I worked with a stonemason for a number of years.
Stonemason? What'd you do as a stonemason? What do they do?
Well, we built a lot of custom fireplaces, some stone bathrooms, did a lot of outdoor gazebos, paved, not paved like blacktop, but pavers, actually a bit thicker than bricks. We'd make driveways and patios out of that type of stuff, fireplaces, like I said, stuff like that. A lot of heavy lifting.
Yeah. You said something about being a baker, too.
Yes, I was a professional baker as well.
Professional baker. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. A lot of early mornings and eating of cookies.
So how did you get from there to dogs? How'd you get into dogs?
Well, I have a bunch of brothers and sisters. I'm actually the oldest of 7, and one of my brothers had found a dog on the side of the road. Big male pitty. He opened the car door and yelled at the dog, and the dog got in the car.
That's neat.
A few days later, he realized he'd made a drastic mistake and couldn't handle the dog.
Or a commitment.
Yeah, exactly. But he was not prepared for it one way or the other. The dog was a lot to handle, especially for somebody who had never really trained a dog before. But he was incredibly destructive, wasn't great with other dogs right off the bat, being that he was just wandering the streets. So I took him from my brother because I just didn't think it was a good fit for him. And once I had the dog, I had to find somebody to help me train him because he wasn't responding to what I thought was a good dog training at the time. Yeah. So I got in touch with a local dog trainer, Tyler Mito, and he helped me start my path to professional dog trainer. I went through the courses he offered, and from there I just basically pestered him until he agreed to take me on as an apprentice, and then from there just watching a lot of videos and going to workshops and seminars and sharing with other professionals. Yeah.
So hey, what do you think? Really? So how many years have you been doing this?
I've been training dogs for right around 8 years.
Cool. Yep. And as I know, my bucket list is kind of stepping away from semi-retired, not totally retired from Leerburg, is to get into fishing, and you and I have that in common.
Yes, we do.
I mean, I've become addicted to it, and it sounds like you've become addicted to it.
Yes, I have.
My son Jeff is becoming addicted to it. Yeah. Fishing and dog training, I think, go together.
I agree wholeheartedly. Yesterday I had an opportunity to get out on one of Jeff's kayaks, and brought his fly rod with me, and Seif and I went on a nice little trip around the lake and got to cast the fly rod a little bit. Seif had a good time once she realized being in the kayak was probably a better choice.
Sometime you have to do a video of her when you start to hunt her. Oh yeah. And then I want to see you down in that 6-foot hole.
Yeah, I'm sure. Everybody likes watching the guy dig the hole. Right?
Is that right?
Yeah.
So normally when you do that, does it one guy hunt together or by himself, or can it go any way?
Usually when it starts, what happens is, there's a couple people who are interested in it, and they come out and see how inefficient and hard work it is to actually use a terrier to hunt, and then they lose interest pretty quickly. But everybody likes to see it done a couple times. But normally, it's a one-person thing, which is fun and great, but it's also a lot of work. You know, you're carrying 60 pounds worth of equipment in a backpack with nobody there to really help you out. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, I have, you know, since we've had Stella, like I said, she's 4 years old, since she was this size, and the genetic drive for these little terriers to hunt is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, we have our house fenced in with 6-foot tall fence, and it's this, I don't know what kind of fence you call it, but the rabbits can get through it. I'm amazed that a rabbit can get through it. But they'll only get through it once when Stella's outside. More than once, we've let her out and come back, and she's standing at the door, and her tail's wagging, and she's got a rabbit in her mouth that's the same size she is. And I thought, oh, geez, Louise.
Yeah, there doesn't need to be a ton of training to get a terrier in most cases to want to kill small critters.
Yeah.
It's one of the big things, you know, I always tell people, if you got a guinea pig or your kid has a hamster, you know, it's best to keep it away.
I know. I think she kind of looks at Rosie here as a hamster.
Yeah, right.
You know, Rosie's looking at her and she doesn't know what it is. The first time they've really ever been around each other a lot. But she kind of does look like a hamster, doesn't she?
Yeah,
I mean,
a little chinchilla or
yeah,
something.
baby, how you doing? But I love her. I love her. Like Cindy said, it's going to blow a lot of people's minds when I go from German Shepherds
to Shih
to
Tzu.
this. I love her, though. Nice thing about Shih Tzus, though, they have hair like humans, and they don't shed.
Yep.
And we will trim her down when she gets a little older, but it's still a little cool in the spring here for us, you know, to trim her down. But she's pretty fascinated with her.
Oh yeah, they were running around a little bit earlier. And
So we're kind of looking forward to this. I think this is going to be a cool course, and we look forward to doing some other courses we've talked about.
Yeah.
We've talked about some things, and as time goes, hopefully we'll be able to put some other courses. I know this is going to be a successful one. We get a lot of emails every day. Cindy answers all the emails. A lot of the emails deal with aggression, but a lot of the emails deal with small dogs and problems that people have with small dogs because they take them for granted. Oh, they're not a big deal, it's just a little thing and blah, 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 until they would get something like this and then wonder what to do about the little Tasmanian devil running around the house.
a little Wolverine.
That's exactly what it is. Hopefully when she's done teething, she'll stop doing the crazy stuff like that, you know.
Sure.
I was answering emails yesterday morning in our living room in my socks, and she ran up and she bit my big toe so hard that it made me scream. It brought tears to my eyes, for Christ's sake, but I love her anyway. So anyway, I want to thank you for coming up, and I want to thank you for, you know, agreeing to pass on the information that you're passing on with us.
Been my pleasure.
We're going to help a lot of people, and that's what's fun for us here at Leerburg. This is a good course, and anybody that has small dogs ought to go to the course and read the outline for it, read about the modules, and if you have any questions on training your dog, Josh is going to answer them in his course. Thanks.
Thank you.